Hello everyone. So today is our lecture 2 of the application programming class, and today we are going to discuss how to make our very first iOS application. So that application will be designed and run for iPhone of the different version, and today we are going to discuss the all necessary details about necessary tools, about how to manage our mobile phone connected to the computer, and all other details related to coding for the iOS programming using Xcode. Okay, so and today I just briefly summarize what exactly will be going on today during the today lecture. So the first and very interesting part will be related to the introduction to the Xcode. So always remember that Xcode, this is the Apple product from Apple company, designed specifically for Apple device software managing. So during that particular tool, Xcode, we can code and design application for Apple devices, including personal computers, MacBook, Mac Mini, iMac, and so on. All Mac personal computers. We can also use the same Xcode to design application for iOS. So for mobile devices such as iPhone, iPad, iTouch, and others. So the same Xcode we can use in order to code different programs for Apple Watch and for the Apple TV. So technically this is the universal source code to code for the all Apple devices. As default, Xcode can be launched only on Apple computers. Okay, so here we can write, I can run Xcode using iMac. So this is what we have in our room D340. So we can use MacBook, Mac Mini. Mac Mini. So in theory, it is possible to write Apple source code using the personal computer, the general Windows computer, but that is a very different story, and during this course we will only focus on making the code using Xcode designed by Apple for Apple computer and by using Apple personal computers. So right now I am using normal computer, Windows computer, but I will screen information from my laptop, from MacBook Air. So here, so that's why I can show you the source code, but again, that source code will be done in my own computer, in the MacBook. So to practice, if you don't have MacBook, so you will have to use our computer room with the Mac computers in the room D340. Okay, so what exactly we will talk about? Interface. Important part is the emulator, because we will have to run our application using the emulator. So we will discuss like few necessary steps, like to start coding using Xcode. And finally, we will start making our first application. So I will show you what is that. So a simple guide, what exactly do we need to do? After that, a lot of attention we will pay on the application design, because the Apple products, especially Xcode, makes that particular part in a very specific way. So that's why if you do have experience making application, let's say by using Android Studio, so for you that will be a very new experience, creating apps for iOS, like using Xcode. So Apple decided to make the concept of making apps, making the application design is very unique and different. Okay, and in the final stage, we will start talking about the code logic. So today our application will be extremely simple, and our main target is to meet, like, to introduce firstly the Xcode and Xcode interface. So the application and the products, that will be something else, something what we will do during other classes. So today is technically the brief overview of the software and very simplified way how to use that software for different uh, to make a different design, simple design, and simple code logic. And finally, we will try to do the testing. So our target is to succeed in making apps. Okay, so now how it will looks like. Right here, I do have application that's called Let's View. So, and Let's View application enable monitor screening. So technically, this is the screen of my MacBook. So, and here, as you can see, like Let's View connected, like the normal Windows computer connected to the Mac computer. And now I can do the screening. So for sure, like you cannot do it at home, and you don't really need to do that. You can directly use the MacBook or any Mac devices to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, make a full screen. So I think my face is not really necessary anymore. Okay, and now let's start discussing what is exactly going on here. Okay, so the first interesting part is what exactly is going on here. So this is the nothing else as Xcode. So as you can see, this is the Mac computer, MacBook Air. Actually, my computer is pretty old, from 2013, 8 years old computer, and as you will see here, it is actually good enough to do the simplified coding. So if the application what we will try to build here will be a little bit more complex, so maybe that may cause some issues, but for the simple application, as what we will discuss during our course, it is fine. So even MacBook from 2013 can be used to process that particular coding. So it doesn't really need to be a brand new Mac computer. So the old one is still fine. Okay, so yeah, quite many different applications open. So maybe the things from what we will start is, let's create some folder. I call it iOS programming. So in right here, so we will add some application. So for sure, like I do have many of them and not only here. So we will need to have a folder where we will pick, like we will collect and keep all of our application. Okay, so So this is Xcode. So okay, so if you don't have Xcode installed uh, on your Mac, so you can. So uh, in order to install Xcode, so just simply go App Store. So here in the search, write Xcode. So very trivial way. So the first what you will see is the Xcode. In my case, as long as I already installed it, I can just open. So in your case, you will have to download it and install it. So it is pretty big. If I'm not mistaken, around 5 gigabytes. So make sure that you do have enough space for the Xcode. As default, Xcode has an inbuilt tool like to search, to measure your hard drive, and will definitely say whenever you can use it or not. So in my case, I will just open. So we will start from the very beginning. Okay, it's open, the old one. Okay, so in that case, let's just discuss what exact application we will try to make today. Once again, it is very simple. So that particular application will have a label. This is my text. This is just the text displayed in the screen. So the next widget, so the next item of our application will be the text field, where we are going to add text. And there are three buttons. Button add A, button add B, and the button clear. So how does it work? If I will click A, so the A will appear in the screen. So if I will click B, so the B will be added next to A. So and if now I will click different A and different B, so that particular text will be inserted into the screen. Very simple app, but that particular app will need some specific knowledge about Xcode programming, and we are going to discuss it. So there is one more button clear. So by clicking that button, so the text will disappear from our application. Okay, so and maybe better to start from what is Xcode, from the very new application. So I will make a new project. So this is the interface, and right here you can see so the way how does, so the welcome page is created by Apple. So the first what we will see is the way to choose a different application strategy. So as I mentioned, Xcode is the tool to make any application for Apple devices. So iOS, this is technically for iPhone, iPad, and all other portable devices powered by iOS. Mac OS, this is the operation system, so technically for personal computers, including laptops. So, and they are separated. Always remember the programming for the mobile phones and programming for the personal computers, even if it is laptop. It is two extremely different procedure, which is using very, very different tools like to create apps. So there is also the way to create application for the Apple Watch. So that's called the Watch OS. So where is the TV OS? This is the specific application for Apple TV. Like where is the specific box if you never see. Okay, and there are many other things what we can do by using Xcode. But again, the main target is to create application for the Mac products. iPhone, iPad, and different Mac personal computers. So in our case, so we will choose an empty application, this one, click next. So the next, as usual, so here we will need to set up the name. So this is our first app, so that's why I will just call it the first app. Click next. Okay. Let's come back to the previous page. Here there are a few other things what we will need to discuss. Okay, actually the first what will be interesting project. Okay. Yep. Okay, so the first what is important here is the interface. So Apple designed two different bases to create our applications. So the original is the storyboard, and during our lectures we will mostly focus on storyboard. And there is something that's called Swift UI. So the Swift UI is usually more users friendly. So, but Swift UI give us much less tools to manipulate and to control our items, our widget in our application. So, and mostly it is recommended to use the storyboard for general purposes, for the general programming. So anyway, we will start from the storyboards because like if something will be going wrong, so at least will be the way to fix it. It is Swift UI, as long as this is the new product, considerably new product. So something may go wrong. But anyway, we will try both. But in the beginning, let's use some kind of hard version of the interface making, which is the storyboard. So later that will be clear why it is storyboard. Also, the Xcode allow us to choose in between two different languages, Objective-C and Swift. So again, during that course, so we will mostly focus on Swift. So maybe we will create a couple of applications using the Objective-C just in order to see what is the exact difference in between those two languages. But Swift itself, again, is very different from general C, different from Java, different from like general C languages. So that's why, again, and the most of application in Apple for the Apple devices built with Swift, especially for the mobile devices, like the 90% according to the statistics. Objective-C, this is such kind of the general language for Apple for many years, but since the iPhone became popular, so they decided to make something else. So, and one of this course target is to study Swift as the programming language, which will definitely help us to do the coding. So in reality, yeah, for sure, Swift is important, and we will spend time on study Swift, but iOS programming involves too many different things. So that's why the Swift is not the most complex stuff to be studied, to be understood. So that's why, again, yeah, at least I will need to show you that there is the alternative way of coding. So our choice is Swift. So those two things we can keep unchecked, like we will keep as they are. So we will do the testing, so that's why we include it. Okay, so now we can click next. So right here, it is actually giving us the folder where I supposed to build my application. So here we can change the folders. So iOS programming. So I'm going to create a new folders. I will call it first applications. So in the first applications folder, I will create not only one application. So we will create a few of them. First application. So and right here I want to place my first application. Make sure that those things are exactly like identically displayed. Create. So right here we can see the first app. So the creating an app may take some time. Okay, so I got some message. Yeah, I can just cancel. So such kind of things is important if we want to make our apps widely available in App Store. For what we will need to pay money. Okay, so now we will see the general interface of the Xcode, and for entire course this semester we are going to play inside of that particular tool. So as you can see, interface is pretty similar to what you saw before. For example, Android Studio is not really different from that general perspective, but there are a lot of differences here. So right here in the left side, we can see the all necessary like files and components which is controlling our app, and as default, a lot of necessary structures were already inbuilt in our application. So we don't really need to take care about many like significant stuff about our application. Most of those particular coding has been already developed. So just in order to run our very first application. So that minimum is already inserted. We don't really need to do that. But nowadays, this is the common sense, and most of the programming tools is doing the same. So Xcode here is not different. Okay, so what is here? So here will be our general page where we are going to discuss and kind of create our items, components. So this is the central part, and the right part here, this part is for the properties. So right here, yeah, the information what is given is kind of, it's not really important for us. It's just showing that operation system 14.4 will work for iPhone and iPad. Definitely will not work for Mac. Okay, so the name is first app. Okay, now in order to start working with our application, so let's first discuss those particular items. So here there are quite many different things. So there is something that's called the main storyboard. So the main storyboard, this is the designer of our application. So right here you can see it in the center. So right now there is nothing in our application. It is empty screen. Okay, so now maybe the first tips like how to use it. Maybe I want to like make it closer, or like let's implement zoom. So to do the zoom, keep option, just click option and scroll like you using the wheel in the mouse. Now you can see you can change the appearance of your screen. Okay, so in Xcode it is extremely important. Okay, Okay, so here, view controller system. So right here, it is displaying what exactly is presented in our application. Now, as long as this is empty application, so there is something that's called the view controller. So this is something what will be controlled, what is exactly displayed in our screen. So the next will be the view area. So area in the screen where we can see the object. And there is something that's called the safe area. So safe area, this is the area where you can technically build all of your items without like possible problems. So in general, you can display, like place all of your widgets in the view. So, but the Apple recommend using the safe area. So the reason why, because modern smartphone has have edge screen, and if you will display the items nearby the borders, that may cause some kind of problem, what you may not want. So the safe area as default, like string your screen, make the screen size smaller such that to avoid those particular like border paths which may cause the problem when you are like touching your phone. When you touch your phone by hand, the borders they are touched more often, and that's cause issues. So to avoid it, yeah, so the Apple design safe area. So okay, so now let's add some items just to see how does it looks like. Okay, once again, so here in the top part of our middle screen here, there are two items. One is like plus, that's called library. Another one is kind of hide or show the code preview. So we will come back here later. So we need this plus library, and here where is the label. So and simply just move it to the screen. Okay, so now you cannot really see, so we can zoom. And finally, so this is our label. So right now the label is placed somewhere in the center of the screen. As long as we place the first element in the screen, see, so that particular element belongs to the view. So that's why it can be displayed in the screen. So here in the right side, we can see like tons of different properties, and what we will need to do is to play with all of those components, but we will do it later. Okay, so now what exactly I can do with this particular label? Definitely, as default, I can change text. So this is my text. And here it will be displayed. We can change font and font size. Actually, I'm not really satisfied with the font size. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's change the size number. Okay, now that's good. So for the label, we cannot change and modify it much, so that's why to all of those components we can come back a little bit later. But anyway, so the label, this is the widget, this is the items from the library, what we can insert into our application. So all of our items, see here, so the item, like the item ID, it's different from beginning, that was the label. So but see what we can do if here instead of this text, because the text I just placed here So I will write, let's say, first label, first label. So see what's happened. So the first label, this is just ID. So we initiate that particular first label with the name first label. As default, label doesn't have ID, which can be a problem. Always remember that all new items you inserted doesn't have ID. And in order to not make any mistakes later, better to rename all of our items here and place the reasonable name. So the first label, this is the name of that particular widget, what we present in the screen, and that contains that particular text. Okay, so now what I want to do, as long as we already insert one single item into our application, let's try to see how does it looks like in our device. So now we are coming to the very interesting area of today's discussion. Okay, so see here, first app, this is the name of our application. Here, where is the device? iPod Touch. As default, so the device, what is connected to our application, where I am willing to run my application is iPod Touch 7th generation. But if you will click here, you can see there are quite many different devices what I can use to launch my application. You can choose whenever you want. So right now it is not really important. Maybe important the screen size because all iPhones, like iPhones presented here as default, they do have a different screen. And this is the main reason why they are presented, because your application may looks different in different iPhone. And definitely once we are creating an application, so we're supposed to consider that and change the design based on the iPhone. So a little bit more precisely, we will talk about it next lecture. So today our target is to just first overview. We can choose whenever phone we want. So I will prefer iPhone 11. Just don't ask iPhone 11. You can choose any other iPhone. So what is that? This is the emulator. So remember how does it work? All of our mobile devices, it is separate computer. So powered by the operation system. So where we are launching our application. So this application, what is presented right now in my MacBook Air, this is not right now application for iPhone. This is some code written for computer, for PC. And there is the huge problem, like how to test that particular program, because that program is designed to be in the iPhone. So I don't have iPhone, so but I want to test my application. So what I can do, I can choose some devices here, and what the Xcode does, it download all necessary files to emulate iPhone 11 in my computer. So technically I don't really need to download and execute anything because it is already here. So this is the iPhone 11 powered by iOS 14. So I just launched it before. So and just for instance, I can just close it. Yeah, okay, so nothing. Okay, and let's launch. So what you can see is here, building first app. So you should wait until that particular blue bar will finish. So the build succeeded. So means that our application compilation process has been finished. So now we need to wait until the emulator will be ready to work, as long as I close the previous version. So if you will do it first time, that may take like some time to install all necessary parts. Okay, right here we can see this is our iPhone, and again everything is displayed here. See, attaching first, running first app on iPhone 11. Okay, so in order to see our application first time, it's sometimes, so sometime, like we need to wait for maybe 1 minute or two. Again, my computer is not really fast, that may take time. Okay, anyway, so now in the mobile phone screen in our simulator, so we will see this is my text. This is our first object, what we inserted to our application. Okay, now let's come back to our application, and so there are a few different important things what we will need to talk about. Okay, so see, if we are going to display just one, okay, so in order to prevent such kind of, see, interruption holder, okay, this is not any mistakes, but if I'm not going to use emulator, so the emulator is needed only to test. So we already test, emulate simulator display something. So, and see here I can stop running my application. Because I am going to change something in my application, better to stop. Always do that. And right here you can see that finish running first app on iPhone 11. Okay, see, what is the problem right here with our application? Again, if there is only one item displayed in the screen, there is no any issues. But if I will add something else, so that may become a problem. So everything what I am displaying in the screen must be locked somehow in our screen. To do that, we are using constraint. So, and there are a few different things, like a few different tools to control it. See, add a new constraint, alliance. Okay. So we can kind of hold our items horizontally, and we can hold our items vertically. So I want to fix the position of my items vertically. So technically I can fix it horizontally like this. So what will happen, I will display my widget in the middle of the screen. See? So because that was centered by the horizontally, centered by vertically. Okay, so now if I want to move my widget, so now we start seeing some problem. So the reason why, because I already fixed the position of my widget. So, and in order to modify it, like in order to move it, so now that will not be, that's possible, yeah, but not always easy to follow. Okay, so what is inserted now? See, now we do have a constraint. First label, this is the name of our widget. So, and right here we can see it is like centered by X, centered by Y. So the constraint, again, if you will come back here, see, this is the add new constraints. So, but you can only add something new, but you cannot like handle the old one. So in case of a line, yeah, so see here it is not working here. So now, how can I come back to my constraints? So stop. I need to highlight my label. Okay, so in here there are a few different tools. So usually this one, like attributes inspector. So in the middle, this is what we usually see it in the beginning. But here there is something that looks like a ruler. Let's call the size inspector. So if you go click here, so it will display us the size of our widget, its location, and the more interesting, so here we start seeing our constraint. See, align center X to super view, align center Y to super view. So that is our, so technically the middle of the screen. So the interesting part that we can modify it. So I want to move it up. So let's change Y. So see here, the constraint is 0. Let's add something, 100. Okay, see, it's moved down compared to the center. Okay. So relative to the center, we can move. Let's say I want to move to -100. This is my text. Let's say 200. Okay, so what is happening with my application? Why do I need to do such kind of thing? See, the problem is that nowadays we do have too many different iPhones, too many devices with the very different screens. So, and if I will lock my widgets somewhere related to the screen size, like somewhere related to the screen geometry, so the different mobile devices, in different mobile devices, our widget will look different. So this is the huge challenge for the developers to make application which looks very similar, like each other in the different mobile devices. So, and the center of the screen is always fixed. So all screen as default has center. And from that particular center, we can move our elements anywhere we want. And that as default will solve our problem. Okay, so let's add some other item. Okay. So the next what we will need to add is the text box. So some particular widget where I can insert text. So there are many different widgets here. So, and we need this one, text field. And let's drag it here, text field. So right here we start seeing new extra item, like round style text field. So in the beginning, let's rename it. I want to call it my text field. Okay, so the my text field. So it has size, but now the more interesting part will be like to connect that particular widget, allocate that particular widget in the screen. So, and for that we again need to go for a constraint. So all of my widget will be in the center of the screen. That's my idea. So that's why let's add vertical constraint. Okay, once again. So here, this one, align, click align, and add vertical constraint. So as default, my widget will be centered in the screen. Add constraint. So and right here we can see where is the my text field, center Y. Okay, so then right here we start seeing this particular part and see. Oh, stop. Okay, if I want to come back, just do the Ctrl Z, Command Command Z. Okay, so we will remove that constraint. Yeah. It's vertically. Okay, horizontal. Yeah, so I want to like fix horizontally. So right here. Okay, see what is this? So everything what is red means something is going wrong. So in my application, so if I will click here, it is saying like need constraints for Y position. See what's happened. So we fix it horizontally. So, but we did not like we fixed one coordinate, but we didn't fix another coordinate. So that's why the all widgets what we have in our screen must have minimum two different constraints. So now there is only one. See my text field center by X, but doesn't center by Y. Okay, so what I want to do, okay, so the first I will fix the size of my widget, let's say this. Okay, now click that button, that's called the add a new constraint. So right here we start seeing so the different things. Okay, so and we can add some extra constraint. And see how does it work. So if I will click here, it is saying that compared to the first label, so this is our first label, so that will be the distance 19. We can, let's say, add 20. At the time when you modify this number, so right here you can see add one constraint. So it means that we are going to fix the position of our widget. So I would recommend like to connect it minimum twice. For example, here, so to the safe area distance is 128, so that we will again fixed by X, even if we don't really need it. So, but anyway, so better to have like two constraints. See here, we can see it here and here. So what we can also do, we can fix the size of our screen. So I don't want to change the size of my widget. So and here width and height, I can also fix. So means that the size of my widget will never be changed. As long as this is the text widget where we can insert text, so that can be an issue. Okay, so constraint to margin, so that will allocate our okay, so that's constraint to margin means that all of our constraint will be connected. So technically I think I can disable that part. Sometimes that may even crash our application, so that's why we should be careful with the constraint to margin. So okay, for me, let's just try to uncomment this constraint to margin and let's add those 4 new constraints. And now as you can see, so that particular red sign disappear means that our application exactly know where to place that particular widget. Right here we start seeing 3 extra constraints. So here it is like centered. So it is 20 pixels away from the label 1. Okay, and we also add this constraint. So okay, safe area, yeah, safe area is here. Yeah, okay, so and this is our 20. Okay, as long as I fix the size of my box, so now there are 2 constraints inside of my text field. See, has fixed height, fixed width. So for example, my label doesn't have it. As long as like we can modify the text inside of our label, but that will be modified programmably. But in case of the text widget, text field, so the users can insert numbers here. So that's why the recommendation here is to fix height and width for that particular widget. Okay, and the next what I want to do is to add three buttons. Again, click plus, so the button is the second widget. So, and we can just again like place. Okay, let's place it all together in the center. So button one. So right here we can see so the button widget. So once again, it is not connected to anywhere. So the first what I will recommend to do is to rename that particular button, because as default, all widgets, everything what we insert in the screen doesn't have ID. That's what I mentioned. So better to kind of fix that particular ID, and let's say that will be our button first. So the functionality of that button, so we can discuss later. Okay, so button first. Okay, let's come back to the inspector. Okay, so and here, so there are quite many different things what we can modify. Here is the text what is displayed inside of our button. Let's change add a. So remember, our application will add or remove a. Okay, maybe better. Okay, add a. What I don't like, let's change this font again. 25. Add a. So okay, so now let's execute the application what we already have. So just in order to make sure that we are doing everything correctly, I just launch our reference application. So and we can see it is slightly different, but I did it in purpose. So here there are three different buttons: add A, add B, and clear. So add A, add B. Let's see here, the size of the screen is not fixed. That's why I want to modify our class application a little bit. And when I click the button clear, so the text disappear from the screen. So it means that I need to add two more buttons, add B and clear. Okay, so now let's add one more button. Go to the library. Okay. This is our button. Second. So here, text, click, so add B. So let's change the font size to 25. Okay, and let's add one more button. One more button, and that will be the button. Okay. Third button. So later we can name them more precisely. Okay. So this is button clear. Button clear. Again, let's change the font. Okay. So the all buttons fixed. So see, but now the problem is that we didn't make any constraint for our three buttons. And now that may cause an issue for our application. Okay, so let's do it horizontal constraint to B to add A, add B, and for clear. So now all of our buttons will be centered here. So and what do we need to do next is to add extra constraint where all of our buttons will be connect each other. See, so right now there is one constraint which fixed coordinate x. So and if I again see that that particular red sign appear, so the reason why, because all of our buttons doesn't have a constraint for the y position. So and for our widgets, let's add it. To zoom again, press Option and use the scroll in the mouse. Okay, so here we already specified constraint. So now click New Constraint and okay, make sure that here, see, it is button add A located next to the widget my text field, and the distance, current distance is 18. So let's change to 20 and see here it is saying there is one extra constraint. As long as nothing will happen with our button, so we will not change size of it, so no need to fix height and width. We also can skip the margin because we are not going to modify it. Just add this extra constraint. So now if I will come back here, see there are only two buttons with the Y constraint missed because we already fixed it for the button add A. Okay, so that's why I go back to the button, second button, add B, and do the same. Click here, add constraint, make sure that, see now, our button B will be the next to the first button, to the button add A, and the current distance is 14. So instead, let's add 20, and right here we can see there is one extra constraint, add this constraint, and I need to do the same with the button clear. Okay, so here's second button, button add B. So our button clear will be the next to the button B. And let's say here, I will again go like down for the 20 pixels. Okay, and add constraint. Okay, so now see, there is no that red sign, means that the all constraint doesn't have any conflict. There is no any mistakes with the item allocation, so no overlapping or other things what may crash our application. So now let's run and see. So that maybe this is our old one, so the reference application. So right now launching first app. Actually, once that application is already launched in your app, so all next implementation, all next running procedure will be much faster. Now you can see. Definitely now if you will click, nothing happened because what we did, we just fix the interface. So the idea of text field, so because here we can add some text. So in this certain application, we are not inserting anything through the keyboard or through the user interface. So here the user will add different data through the button. Because here the main idea, again, we want to discuss how to like make very first and simple interaction in between your application and users and you. So your application must do something. So right now we just make an interface. So we build few different items, place them in the screen, and make sure that this application doesn't crash. Okay, so now what will be the next step? So we already discussed how to create a simple app. So we add three different types of widgets: label, text field, and three buttons. But now the next step will be the way how to manipulate, how to push our application to do something if I will press different buttons. So there are three buttons, and that particular buttons must do something. For example, when I click A, so that A must appear in my text. Actually, I found one thing, so the text size is not big enough. Okay, let's come back to our application. So highlight the text field. See here it is system 14. Let's make the text size bigger, 25. Okay, see, now I am doing the modification in my application. For example, now this text is not small anymore. So in order to prevent against any crashing, I will recommend always stop running before we will modify something. Okay, so now we are coming to the most important part of our application, how to process interaction. So actually this part is already finished with the constraints. So okay, now how can I handle my buttons? Because right now my button doesn't do anything, so we must quote. Okay, so here if you will click this part, so that's called adjust editor option. Okay, so here there is something that's called assistant. So you actually can also go through the combination of the hotkey, but okay, let's now try assistant. So let's see how does it looks like. Looks like not really great. Right here there are three different screens, what we can see. So here is our components. So here is the interface of our application. So, but this part is the more important. This is the view controller. So the view controller, this is the file. See here in the left side, we do have the view controller Swift. This is the specific code, what we will launch in order to present different data. So, and right now we are coming to the real iOS programming, because before what we did, that was such kind of manipulation with the application design, which may crash your application, but probability will not be high because everything is designed by the Apple engineers, but possible. So if something will be going wrong with your constraint, so the application may not be correctly displayed like in your emulator. Okay, so now what do we need to do exactly? Okay, see, I click button A and the text appear here. So it means that the manipulation with the widget button add A or the first button, modifying the text in the text widget, like my text field, So it means those two items must be somehow presented in our view controller. So right now, as you can see here, it is empty. There is nothing presented in our application, even if all of those widgets we are already present in our application. But the source code doesn't have any of them. So as long as I will need to modify my text field, so what do I need to do? I need to connect that text field somehow with my view controller and see what the Apple engineer did. In order to do that kind of manipulation, so what I need, okay, once again, highlight my text field. After that, click Control, and by mouse just drag this one into this view controller. Make sure that you can see insert action outlet or outlet collection. So you should do it before the view did loader, because if you will come here, so actually the property of that particular movement will change. Okay, so here, as long as we are talking about text widget, like text field, so just make sure that you can see such kind of things. Again, press Ctrl and drag the text field somewhere in between, like the class and function. So that will automatically connect your text field into your source code. Okay, so and here the important part. Even if you made a name for our text widget, my text field, so now the application will ask us to make another name of that particular widget in our source code. Okay, I don't want to change much, that's why I will call it just my text. Okay, so here make sure that this is the UI text field, so that should be same. So here the connection is outlet, object the view controller, because we are doing it for the view controller. Okay, so here storage big, connect. So the compiler will create one extra line, so we don't need properties anymore. Okay, so this button will add properties and remove properties. Okay, so what is this? This is the specific way to connect functionality of our widgets from design part to the coding part. Remember, the design part is just displaying the item, but coding part will modify them, will be interacting with your application. So and see here what is happening. So this kind of property that's called the IB outlet create my text object. So that particular my text object is connected to our my text field. And now if I want to add or delete or do whatever I want with that widget my text field, in my source code, I will have to handle name my text. So that particular line 12 connects my widget my text field with the object of that widget my text inside of our source code. So this is the way how it's supposed to work. So as long as I will modify only my text in my application, so I don't really need to add any other components into my application, but I will need to do something with my button. Remember, we start from saying that I click button A and that particular clicking procedure change the text inside of my text field. So it means that we must insert some coding for our add button A, add button B, and clear. So the idea to do that is identical to what we just did for the my text field, for the text widget. Okay, so now highlight our button, add a. Now click and hold button control and drag by mouse here. Okay, so that particular connection. So now if I will let it go, so just do not push control and just leave the right mouse button on. In Apple this is the just Apple just mouse button. Okay, so here again, see, similar to what we had before, so the Xcode is asking us, okay, make a new name. So that particular new name will be associated with the action. What will happen if I will click the button A, button add A. Okay, so here I can call it like click A. So that will be the property. So to do what if I will click the button A. So and that will execute the code what we are going to initiate right here. Okay, so important part is type. So here the type is any, but we need to change it to the UI button because like we are going to click button. So event, actually there are many different events. So, but that particular default event is actually means click button. So you click button and leave it. So and that did something. So and another important part is the argument sender. So up to now we will not use it, but yeah. So just like add name for our button and make sure that the type is UI button. So this is the correct procedure. And now click connect. So see what's happened. So it creates the function. So the function click A. So associated with the button. So here, if you will click that particular circle related to that function. So now we can see main storyboard button first. So it means that if I will click the button A, so I supposed to do this coding. Okay, now interesting part. So how can we interact with our application? So now I must have the ability to modify the text inside of my text. Okay, so now we are coming to the general. Okay, let's do it again. Swift coding. So see my text. So as default, the compiler knows that my text is a text field. So see, AI text field associated with my text field through the connection what I did in the beginning. Okay, press enter, my text. Okay, now if I will click dot, so the dot part will link us to the all possible functions and attributes of the class text field. So, but what I need to do, I want to modify the text for the widget my text. Okay, so see if I will type text, so the text is available. Okay, so text equal A. So I am clicking the button add A. So and I want to display that particular A in the screen. So that's all, very simple. So now let's run our application and see whenever it works correctly or not. Okay, so right here we can see that something is going on. So it's launching our application, running first app. Okay, so see what's happening again. So I click button add A. So click here. So that particular clicking initiates this function. So this function click A because we did the connection. So, and inside I run some coding. So that particular coding, okay, take the widget my text. So my text is associated with my text field. Okay, and the component text changed to A. Initially that was empty, so that's why A appear here. So actually now if I will keep clicking A, nothing will happen. So because that particular coding can add only one single characters, or we can add many characters, but what I want is to add a character A or B one by one. Okay. Okay, so let's do it for button B. Okay, so this is our button B. Again, click Control, keep Control, and move it here. You must keep Control. Okay, and by mouse just move it here. Okay, so that will be the click B. The name doesn't really matter, but just keep consistency. AI button, touch up, sender, connect. Okay, so and here the idea will be identical. So my text dot text equal B. I just want to display them together. Okay, so now will be the same happen if I will click B. Okay, and I do have the button clear. So keep Control. Better to just kind of add some space. Control and here. So this is the click clear instead of any UI button connect. Okay, so what will happen if I will click clear? So the text must disappear. So my text dot text. Okay, this is very simple. So in order to delete everything, so I will just display nothing. So it as default, so that will delete all of my text. Okay, so let's run and see. So now our application should add A, add B, and clear everything. So similar to what we did for adding A, B. Okay, so A, B, clear, perfect. So it is working. So now, so actually the original idea, okay, so see here, if I will click add A multiple times, so that should add that particular character to the text what is already presented. So right now that particular part doesn't work. Why? Because here, so we don't have that particular, so that particular property. So in order to resolve that particular problem, so we will have to like start discussing about the variables and the extra component of the Swift coding. Okay, so to do that, okay, so let's introduce the few extra variables. So let's make a variable which will present the text in our screen. So okay, let's do it. In order to present some variables, there is the command var. So var variables. So the variables what will contains the screen text. Let's call it screen text. Okay, so now we need to specify what that variables, what type of that variables we want. So as long as that will be the text inside of that text widget, let's call it string, and make it empty. So screen text string empty. So it means that in the beginning, when we will just create our application, the screen text is the string variable with nothing inside, similar to the text what we have right here. Okay, so now what will happen if I will click A? So I need to add A to my screen text. So, but now I need accumulate all of the data what was given before. So that's why the screen text, the new screen text will be what? Old screen text plus A. Okay, so what is this? Okay, actually that particular like double slash, this is the text. Okay, assume that my screen text is A. Okay, like this is A. So and I will add another A. So finally my screen text will become AA, like this. So if I will click A one more time, it will be 3A, 4A, and so on. Okay, so now just in order to make effect, so I need to display the screen text as the text. So in my widget, my text field, I will display screen text. Okay, so if the screen text, like if nothing inserted into the screen, so the screen text is empty, so that's why my first A will appear. So if I will click add A one more time, we will have that situation. So my old text is A, I want to add another A, so A plus A, finally the text will be the AA. And that particular AA we will display in the screen, in our widget, my text. And so on. If I will click A one more time, so here will be the AA plus A is 3A, and so on. Okay, so now if I run this, okay, so now I can see many different interesting size change. Okay, so now the same we supposed to do with B. So here instead I just need to copy this line, Command C. So here Command V. So here instead of A I supposed to place B, and here will be the screen text. So that as default will solve my problem with the character B. Every time when I click B, I will add B into the screen text. So that's why my screen text will be the combination of different A and different B. Okay, so now see A, B, A, B. Okay, works. So looks the problem solved, but what will happen if I will click button clear? So see, the as default click clear means that the text inside of my widget will be disabled. Now see the funny things. What will happen if I will click add A again? So actually this is the old text plus A. What's happened here? See, if I will just delete everything by erasing the text from the widget my text, so my real text will be hidden in the variables screen text. And that screen text I am displaying here. So means that in order to do the clear property properly here, so what I need to do is to empty the screen text. So the screen text must be empty. Okay, actually, like we can do it both. I can keep that text clear. So and now if I will run my source code, so that will finally like implement everything what I want. So B clear. So now the text will be displayed, will be erased. So the old text will not be appeared in our application. Okay, so this is the first overview and the very first iPhone application what we create in our class. So right today we discuss the interface about Xcode. So we discuss about the design of the different application for iPhone and iPad, actually all other applications for the iOS. So because again, today we cover very little from the general knowledge of the Xcode programming about the iOS programming. So and we will also talk a little bit about the program logic. So for sure here will be a lot of things to do. So this is the very simple, easiest application what we can create. But now it can manipulate with the different text. So our next application will be slightly more complex in terms of the coding, in terms of the design problems, and so on. Okay, so if you do have your own Mac computer, so please try to install Xcode and try that particular coding. So if you don't have, I'm waiting for you in our Mac computer room, so where we will practicing with creating that particular application. That's all for today. Good luck.